All right. Hopefully that's better. I had my mic turned off. Can you hear me now? Anything yet? Okay, good. What's up, Shabby? Thank you for letting me know. I was trying to say earlier, it's going to be doing a little bit different tonight. Because I've been training for the Murph on Mondays, I've been having to short out a muscle group. So tonight I'm going to be doing a combo of trying to work on chest and shoulders. We'll see how it goes. I normally like just work out one muscle group a day. So hopefully this works so I don't lack in a group. How you been, Shabby? Are you still getting ready for surgery? Or did you already have the surgery? Hope it went well. All right. We're going to switch over to bench press. I'm going to take this vest off. This is not super comfortable to do bench press in the vest. Nor in that exercise will it like provide me anything extra. Just be uncomfortable. I'm going to lower this. All right, I'm going to jump into doing the 10 pounds for warming up. Can definitely feel my shoulder or my chest is sore from Monday. I managed to do 149 push-ups on Monday with the 20-pound vest on. That was fun. I tell ya, getting my kids scooters for Christmas has been a huge help to me. With the scooters, when I take them to school, I can park a half mile from the school, and that gives me I can rack up 2 miles of walking that way. And it's really nice. But then also I can start to jog because they can go fast enough that I can jog a little bit, and it's really nice. So, and now we do it around the neighborhood too. So are getting faster via the scooters, so I can go faster when we're cruising. Grabbing the 20 pounds. It's a 9.07 kilograms. I'm moving soon, and I've cleaned out my garage. And I used to have like a lot of stuff in my rafters, you know, like Christmas decorations, that sort of stuff. But now it's all down, and my garage echoes way more with all that stuff to absorb the sound. Jeffrey says, "I'm sorry, I'm not talking more. I have a bad headache." Oh, that's completely understandable. Is that migraine? Or... Can't believe how chilly it's getting at night. I'm saying like chilly in the morning, but super like sunny still. Might be one of the prettiest winters I've ever had. As far as no rain. It's gotten so sunny the last few days or last week that the plants are starting to bloom, even though it's not time yet. I'm getting that false idea that spring is here. I got in the 60-pound dumbbells. That is 27.22 kilograms. Although it'd be nice if it would rain, I'm sure. Like, not so much here, but it'd be really nice if it would rain in Southern California. Help those guys out. Nice rain and no winds for a few days. Give those guys a break. Sure would be nice if LA would get rained on. It sucks. I never thought I'd spend so much time checking like wildfire apps. We have some family friends and family that live down in LA. So you keep checking to see if they're safe. Last week I kind of spooked out because I walked outside and just that warm air like hit me. It was supposed to be cold, like it was supposed to be like 54 degrees, but the wind felt really warm. And where I lived before, we had a pretty big fire go through our community, and that was one of the things that happened that night. Is you could feel like the heat. But thankfully we have all the apps now, and you can stop and check and get some assurance from that. A few years ago, like a wildfire went through the city I live, and I was going to work at night, and I parked my car on top of this parking garage, and I looked at the hills. It was a super hot night, and I looked over the hills, and there was like this like glow coming from one side of the hill I'd never seen before, and I was like, man, that's I really hope there's not a fire, because this would be a bad night for it. And like later on that night, like we all got notified that there was a giant fire burning through town. Had to send employees home, and everybody was freaked out, weren't sure what to do. It was a rough like few days, couple of weeks. And the hardest, like one of the harder parts of it for me, my house didn't burn down, but family members did. But for me, like the hardest part was I had to call like 60 employees to see who was okay and who was in stress, and that was rough, man. I want people to see if their houses had burned down, if they were okay. It was a rough task, not fun. And it was rough too, because people, you'd call them, and most people appreciated the call, but some people got defensive because they thought you were just calling them into work. And I was like, oh, easy. Easy, man. No one's saying you have to come to work. We just wanted to see who's okay. One of the more frustrating parts of the experience was we suspended our attendance policy so that people that were, their homes were near evacuation spots could stay home, not worry about attendance points or getting fired. And as a result, like countless employees who had no problems didn't come to work. And that was frustrating. Because I worked in management, so I was working 12, 15-hour days to cover for the holes that people just didn't show up to work for. And like one guy lived in my apartment complex, and he's just like 23-year-old guy, didn't have any family in the area, no reason not to come to work, just wasn't showing up for work. So there I was like working all day and all night, and this guy was just chilling in his apartment playing video games because he could care less. And the sad part was people who had stuff burned down were coming to work because they needed the money, they needed things to take it off their mind. So a lot of people that should have stayed home or could have were at work. We ended up having to offer $100 a day for people to come back to work on top of their regular hourly rate. We're like, oh, extra $100 to just come to work. And like, there's one gal, super annoying. The second the $100 showed up, she was back at work, and she was like, oh, like, she just was like, oh, I know it's dreadful that people didn't come to work, but I just want you to know that I'm not here for the $100. I'm just here because, I'm just showing up to do my part and do my job. And you're so full of crap, man. You're an awful, awful person. Especially since you're coming in here and talking about how other people are bad while you're the exact same. But this lady was just a horrible person. Very selfish, very rude. She at one point when we were working together, she went and had the surgery done. I think it's a gastric bypass or whatever, where you staple half your stomach so you can lose weight. And like she dropped a lot of weight. And I was like, oh, like, and I was like, how are things going? How's life? And she's like, oh, it's okay. I was like, oh, what's wrong? She's like, oh, it's just I lost all this weight, and I thought my dating life would be better. I thought more people would go out with me. I was like, oh man, you thought it was a weight that people wouldn't go out with you? No, I didn't tell her this. I didn't say anything. I was like, oh, I just pretended like, oh, that's crazy. Well, just give it time. I was like, no, you have a horrible personality. Like, no amount of weight loss is going to cover up the fact that you're just a bad person. You actually looked fine before. You didn't need to go to an extreme just to, help your dating life. You could have just as easily been a nicer person and a good person. You probably would have been able to date plenty of people. But you just suck. I tell you, my favorite part about moving is recognizing how much junk you have that you don't need and just getting rid of it. Just fighting those hoarder genes. I had 23andMe, and they said that person, one of those like gene descriptors said that, people with these genes have a tendency towards hoarding. I was like, well, that makes sense. My mom hoard, my dad kind of hoards. It made sense that it would be a problem for me, but it's one I want to fight against as much as possible. Don't need to keep every piece of paper. All right. I'm gonna drop on down to 40 pounds. All right, this is the 40 pounds. 40 pounds is 18.14 kilograms. I'm gonna do one more set with 40s, and then I'm gonna try, like I said, try doing the shoulder press. I haven't done like 2 muscle groups like this in a long time, so it'll be something different. Because I started doing the Murph training on Mondays, I gotta start combining muscle groups at least once a week. So I figured this week give shoulders and back, or shoulders and chest, a go. So that goes. Just warming up with the 10s. Oh, my arms are pretty warm. Just want to make sure I don't throw myself off too fast. Very nondescript. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. How's your day or night going? I'm gonna guess you can't describe it. Hopefully I read your name right. It goes by fast. It's hard to always catch what the names are. All right, going to do the 50-pound shoulder press. Just gotta set up the dumbbells again. Backs, put some weight back on. If you're new to the channel, this is, pretty much pretty basic workouts. Nothing crazy. Things that are very doable on a budget. If you can get yourself dumbbells, you can pretty much do everything that I'm doing. I like to keep things pretty basic. I feel like when it's basic, you just don't have an excuse to not do it. At least I don't. My long-term goal is to still be lifting weights when I hit my 80s. Okay, the easiest way to do that is to own my own weights, so that I don't have an excuse to go long periods out of the gym. Lifting smart is the other side of that. So I know when you hit like 40 or 50, they say you lose 1 to 2% of your muscle mass a year. So I definitely don't want that to happen. So I want to keep building strong into my 80s. All right, here we go, 50 pounds. Last year, I saw this guy, older guy, at a high school track training on a Saturday. He was like 79 years old, still training for a decathlon. 70, I think he might have been 73. But man, like, it was impressive to see this guy move, because he was moving better than most guys in their 40s. Like that, I want that to be me. Especially like, I have some people who live a long time in my family. I think, barring some catastrophe, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna break 100 years old. And I think more people will. I think that more people will live longer and longer as better treatments come around, as people get smarter about their health. I think people will be able to live longer again. I think the only thing that's going to keep people from living long is them not having the mindset for it, not planning, getting depressed because they've gotten past the point they thought they were and where they're going to die, and they're just not prepared for it. Like if you plan your retirement with the idea that you'll be dead in your 80s, and then all of a sudden you're breezing through your 80s and you're doing just fine, and 100 doesn't look that far away, then people will start to sweat it and be like, oh, I can't do it. They didn't plan for it. No one wants to be, 80 years old going back to work because they didn't pad their retirement enough. So also why I plan on working into my 70s. I plan on having a very, very long life. My mom is 66 or 67. I'm really proud of her that she's signed back up for finishing a degree. And I'm super excited for her to be going back to school. They say it's like one of the things that helps you, at least your mental state, is trying to learn new things when you're older and not stopping. There was this study I was reading about where they said that people that are experts in their field, while they have these like brilliant minds when they're younger, and through their lives they're brilliant, they get dementia and other mental declines faster than other people. And they think part of the reasons they have this mental decline is that when you're an expert in your field, no one really questions you, especially when you're older. They just assume you're right, or out of respect, they don't question you. Like, they might know you're wrong, but they're not gonna question you or try to embarrass you, or they might be scared for their career. So anyways, these experts in their fields start to have mental decline because no one's ever challenging them anymore. And that's where that whole idea that brains become specialized. I forget the couple, but there was a couple of scientists. They were given a piece of Einstein's brain to study, and that's when they discovered that he didn't have like an exceptionally large brain, but he had more ventricles, which carried nourishment in the brain, going to the parts of the brain that dealt with math and logic, and so they think that that's why he was so good, is he had more nutrients going to feed that part of his brain. So then they asked for people to send them samples of other people that had been experts in their field to see if they'd find the same thing, and they found this pattern that people who were experts had better nourishment going to that portion of the brain. But then it's a question of, is that from a lifetime of focus on that subject that creates that? Like any other part of your body, does your brain just feed whatever you're using? Or did he already have a high supply of nourishment to that his brain, which, allowed him to be the genius that he was? They're not. Last I heard, they're not sure which it is. The chicken or the egg kind of thing. Either way, I think it's good to try and keep learning new things and never surround yourself by yes men or with yes men. That's why I married my wife. My wife is never a person to just say yes just because. She puts up, a good argument when she wants to. That's a huge benefit to me. Very important to have someone in my life that tells me no. Someone I'm not going to be able to BS or charm into seeing things my way. Having a strong woman in my life is the key to my happiness. Ah. There's like two kinds of people I hate working with in life, and that's yes men and people that don't have any sort of inner power or authority. That people only gain authority from the position that they're given, so they never come to you. It's like this person that never comes to you and tells you what they want you to do. They always come to you and say, "Oh, the big boss wants this done, and if you don't do it, I'm gonna have to go tell the big boss," or that kind of version of things. It's like, no, just have some authority in and of yourself. And they always are very meek and mousy until they get a little bit of power, then just they try to lord it over you. And it's like, oh, big mistake. They're some of my least favorites. And I'll tell you, I've learned if you end up in an environment where you look up and there's a lot of those kinds of people, if the boss seems to promote yes men, that's when you gotta just find another job. You're not a yes person, you're an independent thinker, you're never gonna thrive in an environment where people just want weak. Well, it's definitely harder doing shoulder press after bench press. But the only way I'm gonna be able to get it done is just combining the two groups. And it'll get easier. Anytime you work out, man, and things are hard, been doing it long enough, you know, you keep pushing, it'll get easier. Your body will adapt. The benefit of doing hard things is knowing how much you can take when pressured. Outside of that, when I've been on my treadmill lately, I started rewatching Deadpool, and I gotta say, Deadpool may be one of the series that makes me laugh the most of any series of movies. I enjoy Deadpool a lot. Good. I hope as long as they maintain the quality that they can just keep making Deadpools forever. And in theory, they could. There's no reason they'd ever have to stop because they can just keep Ryan Reynolds as the voice and just use stuntmen in the suit. And they could be going forever. I'm gonna grab the 30 pounds. I wish that the rift, and I've heard different things about it. I wish the rift with TJ Miller would go away. It would have been cool if they had been able to work things out. But I know there was like mixed issues. I think TJ Miller got in trouble for something. Can't remember. And then TJ Miller like talked about how he didn't want to work with Ryan Reynolds anymore. He didn't. It felt like Ryan Reynolds was being a jerk to him. Sucks because I thought they I thought their on-screen banters were awesome. It'd be nice if they could repair that relationship. That's one of the things that's